Okay, kick it off, man. Kevin.
Yeah, so far I've watched the keynotes and then maybe like, I don't know, 50% of the other ones. But
Okay,
so yeah, it's so far so good.
cool. What's your favorite? If there's any.
I would say I don't want to play favorites. I don't know. I don't know. Your video, the sCrypt one for sure.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, somebody just I don't know, dropped off, Peter. Okay.
And then I got this 3D printer. I got
you
a
got
3D
it?
printer, which is, yeah, it's not related, so I won't talk about it too much, but just so I've been setting that up, which is fun. And then that's it. What about you guys? What was some of your favorites? Let's see who we got.
I have still a lot of them to watch. I watched a few of them. I watched obviously Shawways, and I watched Ty and
Okay.
Ty Everett. That's what I watched, and also like with Craig and the two blockchain guys, like the OGs.
You watch Kevin's panel yet?
No, I haven't yet. No.
Okay.
I'm
Just up,
still,
yes.
my week was really hectic, so I haven't really had the time. But I'll watch them now in the weekend. I have more time, so I get to them eventually.
Cool. Is it Lurker? Do you want to introduce yourself quickly? Welcome here. Hello.
He's only lurking.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's fine. And also we also have our Feng. You want to say a few words? This is the guy who's the.
Hello, I'm engineer of sCrypt. Xiaohui is
writing
my
most
boss.
of the code. So he's writing off the code.
Everyone.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
I want
Nice to meet you.
build some ID problem, script problem. Can call me. I will fix the answer.
Okay, the guys.
Are you
okay.
HH?
Yes.
In the okay, yeah. I know. I recognize your name.
And
Okay.
I'm in
Good to meet you.
China.
Great.
Pretty late now, but yes, Stefan's not coming. Okay, that's fine. I think it's already too late for him. All right, let's kick it off then. I think for officially, I think Lurker, he said cannot figure out how to work audio. Okay, say hello from Montreal. Okay. Hello, bonjour. Okay, let's get started. So first of all, I want to, before everything else we talk about, I want to highlight what we released in the last 3 days, right? We released three things. So every day we release one thing. The first thing we released is this new website called the Learn sCrypt. So basically go to learn.script.io is for people who have seen some other tutorials like so-called crypto zombies on Ethereum, which is I think #1 tutorial for newcomers on Ethereum. So this you can think about is the equivalent for us. Learn sCrypt. So basically, if you haven't yet, I strongly recommend you go there. You can also go to script.io and then on the homepage you can click Learn and then you can see it. It's it will be our default tutorial from now, and we are adding more courses. So if you haven't signed up yet, strongly recommend do it. And the second day we release a so-called state property. I don't know if how many of you have checked it out. So basically now you can almost write a state as easy as you write state in Solidity. Basically, instead of like you have contract, you have properties, right? So if you just decorate with this add state keyword, and then you can use it as like just like any other property. You can use this dot to access it. You can read. You can also write to it, and then when you're ready to pass it on, there's some go to our medium.com. Go to our blog, and then you will see the instruction. Also, there's a link to the language spec as well. So that's much easier. I think one of the most difficult part, if not the most difficult part for newcomers to sCrypt is to learn how to maintain state, because for UTXO by default is stateless. So now that's our biggest improvement, I think, for in terms of language. So we have that shipped. I think so far it's getting a lot of good feedback. And the third one for third day for, do you want to do?
Your audio cut out at the last bit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You
Michael,
said the third thing was, and then you said, do you want to? And then it cut out.
Okay. Michael, do you want to introduce it? Because that's your baby, right?
What do you mean? The Gola SDK. Yeah. So yeah, it's getting slowly in shape. So basic contracts already work. It's already usable. I still have to integrate state annotations the decorators that Xiaowei was talking about. So if you got a script compiler, a newer one, it won't work yet with Go, so keep that in mind. So, and also for the Python version, it's the same, but until end of next week, it should probably work already, and most of the stuff should be.
Okay, so it's soon. So that's good.
Soon. Trademark.
Soon. All right, then let's get back to CoinGeek then. So, have you seen this hackathon? The 3 projects, hackathon projects. We have I think at least Joe, the number 1, the gold prize winner. He's also in our group. I think he's very. His project is very nice, called Bitcoin Feng. I think probably you have heard about it.
Yeah.
That's very good. Congratulations, Joe. That's big. And some other, the one is.
Go ahead. The other.
A bonus point. Oh no, like a coupon from Japan, right? I forgot the third one. The third one is you guys okay.
I watched the coupon one. Yeah, that was fun. Okay. That was a really fun presentation.
Very Japanese. You can see from the screen. Yes.
It's the real Satoshi.
The real Satoshi. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys all see the video for Satoshi to show some of his sportsmanship there?
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, didn't notice.
He's good with the sword, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's some people like Connor, he tries to hold it. Basically, he says he has to hold it with both hands, otherwise it will drop off and cut off his feet. I think it looks, if you're not skillful, you can hurt yourself because it's a real thing and it looks sharp even from the video. You see when the people, when they're filming using the phone at the very end, I don't know if you noticed, but they're starting to back off because looks pretty real, intense then. You don't want to be Satoshi to
and that 3D scanner was pretty cool too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that scanner.
I saw this thing. I guess it's some sort of thing where you stand in the middle and it scans you in 3D. I've tried to play with some of those apps. There's some on the App Store where you can scan a 3D model, but they never turned out that well. But that one looked like it turned out pretty decent. Somebody needs to send me the object file and I'll print one.
So okay. Cool. You can print your own Satoshi.
I know, that'd be great. Little bobble doll.
With a very steady finger point somewhere. Yes.
Yeah.
It should be
right on my desk.
It should be actually the real statue about him, in Hungary.
Okay.
In Hungary.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a real one.
Yeah, okay. It's just some random guy whose face, I think. Yeah, 2 other apps I haven't tried yet, but definitely going to try. One is I briefly tried peersend. You guys heard about this from Peer Game, the Peer company? Yeah, very nice actually. It you mean Lightning?
Oh, Lightning, yeah. This is Lightning fast. and it works today.
Yeah.
I think it supports Twitter. I don't know. Looks like it supports Amazon checkout. That's why I haven't tried yet, but that'll be cool because I buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. So if they support that, I can just get some more transactions. It may not be too much difference at this moment, I think, but it'll be good to just be cool. I think I haven't tried it yet. Have you guys tried it yet?
No.
Not only just
no,
keep.
I'm Googling for it right now.
Is the Amazon
peersend
feature actually live? I've tried peersend.
Yeah, it looks from the demo. Yeah.
I've tried it on Twitter, and that
Yeah,
works.
Twitter is.
Yeah, but one thing I would like to see is sub $1 transactions. Yeah, I think it's like
they have some kind of limit, right? So that I heard from Twitter sphere, but what is that about? You have to deposit at least $1 or something, or you have to send $1.
Oh,
is
I didn't
it?
know about it.
I'm asking because I heard somebody
can
say it on.
I think the lowest value is $1 that you can send actually with the lightning thing, icon. yeah. But I also saw like screenshots about the Amazon integration, and that looks actually really cool. If that will work like with like one click, basically, that will be actually pretty big. Because
I think I'll try that. Yeah.
It's actually a nice way to leech value from all these big companies.
I like the whole idea. And based in Jeff Pike, basically he's saying we instead of like for example reinventing everything, right? Let's say Twitch, you compete with Twitter. It's not impossible, but it's just more difficult, right? Because of the network effect. Everybody use already Twitter, so why not just tap into the existing network? So you can, it's like what you said, right? Basically siphon away all the value to drain the swap, whatever.
That's actually, I think that's the only way to win, because you won't succeed if you create another Amazon for BSV. I mean, how stupid would be
that's
that?
Well, I feel like.
Go ahead.
I feel like what we need to do is actually, like right now, all the existing kind of BSV apps, they're like a direct clone of the existing thing, except with tips or with whatever.
Relica, right?
Yeah,
Relica,
which may be a necessary step, and so I'm not against it. But back in the day when the television was first introduced, the first TV shows were radio shows where they would just film the person speaking on the microphone.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, those are the first ones because that's all that people could think about doing. Well, what else are we going to do? We're just going to film
podcasts.
Yeah, it's basically a podcast. But or like the Larry King Live or Charlie Rose, it's just two people together with a microphone. But then people said, oh, wait, we could actually do like dramas and sitcoms and that kind of stuff. And so I feel like right now we're in that stage of the BSV apps where the only thing that people are thinking about is just the same platforms that we have, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, but with tips or just a little improvement. But I'm curious what will be the next wave where it's stuff that legitimately isn't even possible using the old ways. Just like you couldn't do a sitcom on a radio show.
Yep.
So that's the killer apps. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the killer apps. But which is also not even the $1 billion question. It's probably the $1 trillion question. Nobody, if anybody has figured out, if anybody has figured out, please come on this meetup and let us know so we can make some bucks.
I'll invest.
You mean Satoshis?
It'll help.
Yeah, and I like that. Just the whole approach, just basically turn the existing model on its head to try not to directly compete it with it, because that's like it's like Craig saying, right? You are like trying to kick gorilla, you know, is usually doesn't end up. It's hard. It's not impossible, right? So that's why I think people are starting with kind of like a clones X works on Bitcoin, like Twitch, Relica, a lot of other existing apps, but which is, of course, is very good to start. But for,
yeah, I think that's what I said. I think it's a necessary first step because then people, they are able to see something that's familiar with a little bit of improvement. And so I think it's a necessary first step, but I think that what we'll see in the future is stuff that it isn't possible at all in the old medium.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think eventually like something will come along where it will just explode, like, you know, but it takes time. It's like trial and error. And you never know. It's so unpredictable what will actually catch on, but I think it's inevitable. It will happen, but the question is when, you know. I mean, we got the platform. Now we need to start building, you know.
Yeah, reminds me a little bit of when the mobile phone first came out. I think people also trying to do whatever that's already doable on desktop, right? Just go to some website and then you just browse whatever they usually browse on the let's say desktop or laptop, but it's nothing much different, right? But then later on, I remember clearly that then you have these games, right? Let's say Angry Bird. I think that's one of the biggest killer app. And then you have Instagram, right? Because usually you don't carry your laptop and take pictures and then send it, right? And then when you add this also GPS enabled, then there's suddenly people, okay, you can do more than what desktop. You can. It's more like mobile friendly, right? All these apps. I think similarly here is kind of. But the issue is that's $1 billion question. When's our, Angry Bird and Instagram coming? That's like a Bitcoin native. It's almost like people, I think, always have this kind of, in retrospect, if you figure out that idea, people always think, oh, why haven't I come up with the idea? Seems so natural, right? But that's something you can only, you will see it coming, but before it comes, nobody thinks it's possible. So that's.
Yep. Well, you have to, I think also one of the things too, is if you look at the media, like you said, which is a really good point, like you don't have a camera that you carry around on your desktop, but on your phone you do, right? And so you have this camera built in, or like Angry Birds, you just have the touch screen. Maybe Angry Birds would be fun on a desktop, but to have like the really short levels where you can just play a little bit on the bus, a little bit here, a little bit there, because it's just very short and it's just a simple game dynamic where you're, pulling back the slingshot with the finger. So then what is the properties of BSV? And we have microtransactions, we have an immutable log of transactions. And so then how would that fit into an app? And I think that, I don't know, but I think
at least at least 2 projects attacking this, which I've seen from the CoinGeek. One is I don't know if you check it out, but it looks the vision is very grand. MetaID. I don't know if you watched that video from Sunny Feng.
I've heard the name, and I'll make a note of it right
now. Definitely. If you haven't watched it, but it's very grand. Basically, he's trying to build a MetaNet. So MetaID, definitely check it out from Sunny Feng. And all the recent big blocks, all the recent big blocks, they are coming from, a lot of them is brought by the apps under the MetaID protocol. So basically he's argue, which I think is also in the long term is definitely true. It's just it doesn't make sense for us to have, every time we go to some new website, we have a new, we have to register a new username and ID. And also we have to maintain all these passwords, which is just a security like a loophole. And also who's going to like, even for me, I mean, I'm not even talking about my grandma or anything. It's hard to maintain all these passwords, right? So you have a dilemma. Do you want to make it super complex so you may not remember, or if you make it easy, but it's easier to hack? So, and also it's just much easier, like a money button, right? Or all this kind of unified ID. You have your wallet, that's your identity. You can just log into any site, you just swipe. You don't even, you use like a signature to prove to sign in, right? So he's also, instead of just bringing one app, is creating like a protocol, like almost identity protocol. So you can, I think he always showcased like 10 apps. You can all log in through that, and it's all interoperable, right? So if you, let's say you don't like Twitter, you move to some, let's say Gap, right, today, right? But you lost all your followers, all your content. But imagine now you, instead of just Twitter and Gap, it's just the front end, right? You can just seamlessly migrate. That would be, I mean, for end users, it's just much better. And they also get rid of all this, Ty has been like a very passionate. Have you watched a Ty session?
I watched the speech, yeah, especially.
Yeah, very passionate, which also, I think the speaker, I think at least for personally for me, is also my feeling these days. It's kind of like when you think about the technology, especially brought up by Silicon Valley, it used to be all like a grand, robots, flying cars, whatnot, right? For these days, it's kind of somehow gets this dystopian, like I don't know, it's just my personal experience.
Well, yeah.
It's getting dark. It's getting dark.
It is dark because, and that's what Chamath back in 2017, Chamath Palihapitiya, he had this speech where he's like, we have built tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. And he gave examples of like in India where these people would get all these, they'd all get online on Facebook. And then suddenly they were like, running around vigilante, lynching people, like literally hanging people. And so anytime you put a bunch of people on these networks, it destabilizes like the country. And I honestly feel like with COVID, like we've actually like almost in a way started destabilizing like our bigger countries, not just these smaller countries, because of all the fear and the misinformation. I mean, I don't know exactly, but that was my feeling when it first hit. I'm like, oh my gosh, now we're seeing all this and like polarization, people can't get along. They, turn everything into this, whatever. So we need to have a better way, regardless of whether or not my theory is correct, of whether or not social media is causing all this. We just need a better way. And we need to have hierarchy in terms of being able to prove that you have, it's tough though, is how do you determine who's at the top of a hierarchy? You know what I mean? Like right now we're trying to like put the government agencies with little banners on the bottom of social media, but I feel like there should be a more organic way where people build some sort of credential over time on the network, and then that's how they get to be the top.
Proof of work?
And I, but I'm thinking more like this person has read this article, they've proven comprehension of it, and it's almost like as you go on the internet, you're able to like kind of store your history, and then you can, because like, people, like I learn a lot, but it's stuff that just I'm curious in, and just like random off the wall stuff. But I have a lot of like weird dispersed knowledge of things because I was just interested in it and I read about it. And, but I don't know if I could go to school and learn a curriculum that taught those things. So whether it's like, the light spectrum or, bonding of atoms, like just little stuff that I would never call myself a chemist or anything or a whatever, and I don't even have a full understanding of it, but just like little things like that I've read about just because I was really interested in it for a little bit. And so if you could have some sort of test that could you know, prove that you have some sort of understanding of that, then there's like things like that I don't know, you could kind of carry your credentials when you give an answer on something like what's that, Quora? What's the one?
Yeah, Quora. The QO site, right? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because like right now, when you give an answer, it's like you kind of do your little, you do like your name and you can give like a bio, but there's no way of really proving that stuff. But if you could have like a history of all of your kind of articles that you've read or education things that you've read, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out or thinking out loud. So, but yeah, if you could have a better way of proving knowledge, and then we could organize voices in a more, you know, sensible way. Because right now it's just whatever's the most popular. And then so somebody comes up with some crazy thing that, you know, causes a lot of fear mongering and it catches a lot of attention and it spreads like wildfire, but it's not at all accurate. That's like, it's dangerous and it destabilizes literally countries. And so that's like not good. That's really bad actually. And so we need to really take thought in how we design these things and start small and make sure that it, you know, works before you scale it up. But I think that that's not going to happen. People just, because of all the people just scale things up really fast, but I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think Ty has been very passionate about this. It actually is much more passionate than I expected. Everybody else in the conference. I think when he spoke, you can almost hear the pin drop. Did you get that sense? I'm watching live because I know he's going live, and then he's stood up, and then just the whole conference very super quiet.
Yeah, it was. And, he has like he's like super energetic about it.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that kind of passion to really make some changes. And also to his point, I think one thing is, I was inviting him because usually he show up in this meetup and he said he was on the plane. So probably not a good connection. So just maybe next Friday we can have him have some like a ground report, you know, to see what's happening there. But to get back to, I think another thing I can think about is this. So it's much if we have this Bitcoin based, right, like a MetaID based apps or ID, then it's much harder to censor, right? Unless you are like against the law, right? If you just have a different viewpoints, it's much like if Twitter censors me, I can move frictionlessly to like Gap or whatever, right? Other network, I'll still be there. I can still view me, but my content will still, I can carry it around. I really like own my own data, right? For now, I think it is just maybe just my personal experience, but since the 10 years I've been in the US, it's like the censorship is getting out of control. Because when I first came here, is you can pretty much say whatever, unless, I mean, it's not super like a, you know, like a child pornography or like a terrorism or whatever, right? If it's just different viewpoints, you can pretty much say it anywhere. Like I've never even heard about censorship like 10 years ago. But for now,
well, I think
you have to be very careful. Anything you say, you have to be cautious.
I think it's just they had a very short-sighted view of how we're going to fix this problem, right? Because I agree that the kind of misinformation, if you want to call it that, or just like how something that's just sensational headlines could spread really fast on these networks, okay? Because it's all based on popularity. But then the so-called solution was to have these government agencies like the CDC or whatever come in and dictate the truth. And then you put the banner at the bottom, but then they flip-flop. First, you don't need masks, then you need masks, then you need double masks. And like, they were so flip-floppy that it didn't even, it's like, it was just a short-sighted solution. And so instead of having somebody dictating truth and then banning everybody that disagrees with it, what we need to have instead is like better ways of filtering kind of like arguments. And then here's the way of saying it is we need a better way of finding the truth, or like what is the truth and how do we even get to the truth? And that's like a very philosophical thing, but it involves debating and proving things and presenting evidence and verifying that evidence and all this kind of stuff. And so what we need is these systems that help us do that, instead of the short-sighted thing of, oh, we're just gonna take everybody off the platform that
censor.
Censor. And so
it's like
it's a very
do these
short-sighted
people
solution.
read history? It's like, for me, I'm not a history expert, but name me one instance the good guys are censoring the bad guys. Name me one instance, right? Because to me, if you have good argument, right, why do you even need to censor? That's very, at least that's
exactly.
to me is almost, I wouldn't say 100% right, but usually when you resort to censorship is a big red flag to me. The same thing for like BDC censoring BCH and then censoring BS3, right? Because if you can have a good argument, why not just present it, right? So I think that's a huge problem for now. Is just this platform censor you, deplatform you, is it's almost like a vicious cycle, right? You never get out. At least now, if you have a MetaID based apps, I could see that's at one approach we can get out of this. Not help, alleviate. I'm not saying completely get rid of this problem. And the second one, I think is some people probably, I think it's very likely good approach. Basically, instead of saying, oh, this is like some random so-called independent fact checker put a label on this, right? So this is true or false. Why not when you post any news article, you also attach, it's almost like a bounty. So if you're true, if this turns out to be false, proven to be false, whatever approach, then you get confiscated. So basically, you have accountability, right? So you pay a penalty if you're spreading the news that can be proven false in some way, I don't know, court or something, but not just fact checkers, but a few. And also, if you are true, it brings value. People can, it's like almost like a Bitcoin, right? Miners, if they're doing honest work, they got the incentive, they got paid. And if you are doing dishonest work, people will offer your block. Basically, somehow if you can somehow put money into this, maybe just think out loud. Yes,
it would definitely help, but every system it will eventually get exploited. Yeah, but I think like the most valuable thing about all these systems is that you could tie actual like credibility to your identity, right? I mean, you could do that right now, but nobody on the internet will actually it could be made up, or it's hard to actually like check like who this person is and his history, because you got all this
blue checked.
Yeah, and you got all this fake info about you. But with this, I mean, that's what it's essentially turning your credibility into your wealth, right? Like indirectly. And I think the best like voting mechanism, at least it used to be, is wealth, because sure, you can have like some people will abuse the system to create like short-term wealth, but if you got someone that actually like has a long-term steady like credibility line, he's probably like, it's probably someone who you could trust, right? But yeah,
there's one thing I think I was thinking about this since our last conversation, but so Charles Koch wrote this book, and Charles Koch is like the wealthiest private, like you have public companies and you have private companies, and he owns Koch Industries, which is like the largest, I don't know if it's the largest, but one of the largest private companies in the United States. And he wrote this book called Good Profit. And it says that, you know, there's good profit and there's bad profit. And bad profit is sort of where you just kind of, for short-term gains, you're exploiting people, but you're causing all sorts of harm, you're breaking the law, et cetera, et cetera. But good profit is where you actually, you know, are helping other people. You do it in a way where you're obeying all of the, you know, the relevant laws and stuff like that. So my point of saying all this is that I do agree that whoever has the most capital should have the most votes, but there also needs to be a way to make sure that that is, they've earned that money in some sort of honest way. In other words, when it's good profit, then it's acceptable, but it's bad profit. And then the other thing that I want to say was, so one of the things that kind of bothers me is that, let's say like Bill Gates, he gets super wealthy in terms of software, but then he can carry over that reputation into some sort of medicine. But does he really deserve that influence in medicine? Or could there be some sort of way of restricting it to, you know, just software? I don't know if that's.
I mean, he's a virus expert, right? Look at Windows.
Well, I know, but yeah, exactly. But the reason why he, like, should we, you know, now that we have a way of proving our history of how we earned money, in a sense, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but what if you can carry that reputation just in the single domain that you made money? So I don't know. It's just, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I have any, but because I don't know. I mean, I feel like we do that a lot, where maybe somebody is like, they become a celebrity in movies, but then suddenly they're the expert in whatever, and people listen to them on any topic. But are they really an expert on that topic, or are they just an expert in the field?
Like, it's like you talk about, you hear about this, all this celebrity talking about NFTs, right? I think they probably heard about it sometime this year, and now they're suddenly experts, right? You're right.
Yeah.
Because we are somehow, it's always this phenomenon, right? This, I think there's a study behind this. Basically, somebody who's a nuclear physicist. So he read all these daily articles, right? Daily newspapers. Whenever he noticed something about the nuclear physics, he can always say it's almost always false in the news. And then for any other domain, he trusts the news, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's just this domain he happens to know. He can find out all this, forgive my French, the bullshit, right? Anything else, he thinks that, you know, this newspapers or whatever, the authorities, they're doing a great job, except this one small domain, which he knows. I think
that's true of all of us. It's like all our experience when we have some sort of direct experience, and then we see it on the news like, oh, that's false. But then we just switch off and we say, oh, it's right on everything else. I just don't even watch the news anymore. What I try and do is I'll watch like unedited interviews or raw footage. And there's actually a lot of that now, which is kind of cool. So you could just see like raw footage of, you know,
Joe Rogan,
the White House. Yeah, Joe Rogan is an example.
That's why he's become popular.
Yeah, but I'm also talking about like if I want to hear news about what's happening in the government, I'll just say like White House raw footage, and they have like videos of them coming off the plane, like all unedited, like talking to the reporters, getting in the car. So you can see the whole unedited sequence. Or if there's a talk at the White House, they'll film the whole thing. But not all of, like, I don't have time to watch everything.
Yeah, that's
and
why
so
there's always
be
sound bites and video clips.
Yeah,
which is usually very biased, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is that there's always going to be some amount of curation, meaning that somebody's going to have to go through there and then pick out the the points that are worth watching. But the thing that really bothers me about the news is when they do the edits that are like deceptive edits, and if you, so what I yeah, so generally what I do is I'll see one of those super deceptive edits and then I watch the full thing and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is just totally whatever. So I don't even watch, I rarely watch the news. I'll read my local newspaper, and then that's about it. And then I'll just use YouTube and watch raw footage. But yeah, I think we just trust people across domains, which is probably not a good thing. And so if we could have some sort of let's say it's on Quora or whatever, where if you're really good at computer science, does that necessarily mean that you can talk about, maybe it gives you some credibility, but maybe it's not the same credibility as if you are in a different domain. So I don't know, but I mean, sometimes if you have a polymath that's really good at a lot of things, that also they can connect the dots. So maybe it can give you some weight, but let's not just automatically assume if somebody's an expert in this domain that it carries over, because we do that a lot. And so something to think about, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but ultimately it's like up to the reader to decide who has the credibility, right? But the thing is, with all this stuff that we're making it easier to actually like verify stuff. But ultimately, like, people will need to learn to use this stuff, and they will, because I mean, as you probably notice, like, the younger generation is a lot more prone to like misinformation because they're like exposed to it like from the early years, and they know to take everything with a grain of salt, but they don't really have now the tools to actually like check it on if anything like actually happened, but with all this stuff on chain, you could actually like without transcend truth through time without actually like messing it up,
yeah. And I think the thing that's dangerous is that people on current social media, they use their metric of success as how many followers or how many likes or whatever. And so the metric of success and whether or not this is trustworthy is how much engagement did it get. But what we have to realize is that sensational news or sensational headlines will always get the most engagement. But that has nothing to do with the truthiness. In fact, the truth is generally a lot more boring than in sensational headlines. And so it's not going to get so much engagement. So there has to be a moving away from the popularity as the top metric. But the only way for that to be possible is if we're not using the advertisement-based business model. Because the reason why they want to drive engagement with these platforms, whether it's conscious or not, is because the more eyeballs you have, then the more advertising you could put in front of people. And so what we really need is a new way of paying for content. And that's what we have. This is one of those features of our new medium. And so with micropayments and that kind of stuff. So, but we need an easier way of actually, like, Money Button is a great thing, but I feel like what we really need is for it to be integrated with Apple Pay or something like that.
Speaking of that, I was just trying to bring up the next SendB. I haven't tried it yet, but from the talk, we can use it for Walmart and a lot of retail places, Target.
Directly, or do you buy the gift cards?
I'm not quite sure. Somehow, I'm not sure. That's why I have to check it out. Yeah, but Lauren, from SendB, he says you can use it. Now they are expanding globally, right? And they're actually relocating from South Africa to London, actually. they announced there. So they're saying it's more. Yeah.
I'll put it in the Slack.
Oh, okay. Is it from CoinGeek or something?
Yeah, it's from CoinGeek. It says SendBee now allows users to shop at major retail outlets.
Yeah, that's definitely something
it.
I will try. It probably doesn't make much difference for me, but for me, it's just cool to can actually use it daily, you know.
Yeah, but we need it to be so seamless. It's like that people just use it like they.
Yeah,
it's like they know how to download an app. It's like, oh, there's an app, and I'm like, oh, I know how to do it. Like you don't have to teach anybody how to download an app. You don't have to sit with them for 15 minutes. You have to teach them how to save the key. Like I've tried to onboard people onto like, you know, to get a BSV wallet, and they're like, oh, we'll just do it later. We'll do it later. Just do it for me. And it's like, oh my gosh. So there's just too much friction right now. There's too much friction. And so we need to have a way of it being super, super easy where people are just using this stuff like they're using they don't even realize they're using it. And then, so that's kind of the first step before a lot of these social media ideas. And so we just need onboarding easier, and we need identification. But there's people that have been talking about that. So I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the good old days. I was in some other coins. The wallet is crazy. I don't know if you still using some other the old wallets. It's pretty much command line. You have to type this, type that, run your own node. Even for a lot of new chains still launching today, you have to run a full node and then use a command line to log in. And many of them don't even have a UI. You just use the command line setup. I think a chai. What is that? I think some of my friend is mining the chai coins. Is showing me the wallet. There's no interface, whatever. It's just still command line. I think BSV. Yeah, the wallet, I mean, well, it's definitely the best out there. But again, as you said, it can be made more friendly, because then it's like grandma, right? If the grandma can use it, then we know we have made it. I think so far, I think it's a pretty good already. Yeah. I think also we have quite a few wallet sessions, right? This Handcash and SendBee and what else? Oh, there's Violix from Cambridge. He also put Robin, right? He also bring his own like an enterprise grade wallet solution. I forget the name, how to pronounce it, but yeah, that's some. And also from Elas, right? There's also another like enterprise focused wallet. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna look at those. I think Handcash is the easiest to.
Relysia, yes, Relysia, yeah.
I haven't heard of that one. I use
it's a new wallet.
Handcash and RelayX are the two I keep on my phone. Those are my two.
Okay.
That's my wallet folder.
Yeah.
And then Apple Pay.
Yeah, I use.
But
I have all of them, but I think for now mostly I'm using the web browsers for whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like usually.
Yeah, I mean, I think of mobile. Yeah, that's why I'm saying if I can go to a Walmart and pay with it, that will definitely use it. Also, Simply Cash, that's also pretty good, and it's a one-man project. So, in case you didn't know,
this is an app.
Yeah, this is an app.
Cash. I think I've heard of that. I'll download it right now.
Is Relica on iPhone App Store? Because somehow I cannot find it. I'm trying to collect some like a bounty. Vault, yes. DeFi wallet. Yeah.
That's pretty
do you
great.
know Relica? Do they have a
I'll
mobile
search
app?
for it.
Because I haven't. Maybe they have Android or something. I definitely see the mobile interface, but I haven't been able to find it.
No, I don't see it on here. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. Let me Google it because I do the spell check. Relica BSV.
They have a
yeah,
geolocation.
so far, I think it's just
Bitcoin in different cities?
Yeah, I think there just seems to be more integration with the actual iOS platform too. And this is what like the whole court case, I think it's actually in our favor now. I need to read more about it, but they have this whole court case with, I think it's Epic Games, where Epic Games was trying to have a different type of payment. They wanted people to be able to buy stuff using PayPal instead of through Apple's in-app purchase. And they went to court and all this kind of stuff. And there are they didn't get everything that they wanted, but they got some new features where it makes it easier to pay with other mediums, except, instead of Apple's in-app purchase mechanism. So that's going to free up some things for BSV. But what really should happen, because what really should happen is that Apple somehow just uses BSV for their in-app purchase thing to get the prices down lower. Because like right now you pay 30% of your revenue to Apple, and they use that to set up all the payment processing with all the different currencies all around the world. They also use that 30% to actually build developer frameworks like ARKit and, you know, all the user interface kits and all the stuff that they offer us. And so I don't want to go to Apple and say, no, like, we're not going to pay you at all and get it, because they actually build stuff for us and they provide Xcode and they provide all this stuff.
Distribution
do,
network, yeah, App Store.
Yeah, exactly. That's really valuable stuff. But what they could do is integrate BSV, and then they can make it cheaper for them to do all this stuff. And then, and like right now, instead of saying, I want this in-app purchase to be, you know, a certain price, there's different tiers, and the cheapest you could do is 99 cents. But instead of just saying, I want it to be 99 cents, you select tier 1. And then that's, in all the different currencies all around the world, it selects whatever the equivalent of 99 cents is. So in some countries, it'll be a little bit more, some it'll be a bit less. But what they could do is, if they integrate BSV, is you could actually do micropayments. So you could actually charge a fraction of a cent for an in-app purchase. And so that's really what I think should happen, is that they integrate BSV into the existing in-app payment. They can still take the 30%, but now we can actually do micropayments on iOS. But then outside of iOS, you don't have to pay the 30% and you can just do whatever. But the reason why they take that 30% is so that they can provide us all the free developer tools, which are just paid for by that 30% tax. And I'm happy to pay it. Maybe they could bring it down even lower, and because people complain that they're overcharging, and they may be. But I'm very happy with Apple's developer system. So I'll send them an email again.
Okay. Tim Cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully they read it. We'll see.
Yeah. Integrate BSV. Okay. That's another in grand scale of things. I think you talk about the 2 points, right? What is it's like an internet first came up or mobile phone first came up. What is the advantage compared to the last generation of platforms? You know, you can always do whatever the last generation platform is doing, but what usually the killer apps are is something you can only do with a new technology, right? Like a mobile app or internet.
One of the things, yeah. And one of the things here is micropayments.
Yeah, micropayments, and you also mentioned immutable logs.
Yeah, immutable logs. And so immutable logs are really helpful for things like, you know, like let's say that every update you do to a server, you have to pay 0.0001% of a thing or whatever. But then, and maybe not every update, but certain key things. And then if you have a hacker that comes in and starts changing things around, you have an immutable log of all of the steps that he took. And so because it's immutable. And so that's one of the things. But anyways, as far as the payment, I wanted to mention one other thing is that when iTunes first came out, they actually would, because they wanted to do just small payments where you pay 99 cents per song, but just to do one 99-cent payment, you know, the credit cards, that doesn't work well with credit cards. Mm-hmm. And so they had to go through some process where they would batch all of the transactions. And that's why if you used to use iTunes back in the day, you would only get a bill like once every 2 weeks or something. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, it'd be like a tab. But now if we actually can pay, we can actually do, you know, micropayments. And so we don't have to do the batching of transactions anymore. So I forget where I read that. I think it was, it might've been a Steve Jobs autobiography. I think it had something to do with Eddie Q. And maybe it was a speech he gave. I think I tried to find that for somebody in Slack and I couldn't. So I got to do more research. But yeah, I remember reading that somewhere where that was their solution to doing the so-called micropayments at the time, which was the 99-cent payments, is they would create a tab and then they'd charge it once every 2 weeks or once a month or whatever. But now with BSV, we can do true micropayments. And so you could actually have a 1 cent payment option in in-app purchases on the iOS store. So that's a killer app, but it requires it being integrated by Apple, not by one of us, because it's illegal to do your own in-app purchase things. So, but you can do it on the web.
Yeah, web is much better, but unfortunate thing is
nobody uses web apps.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
It's just rare. Yes.
Yeah, that's
a huge. Yeah, that's the obstacle. Yeah, I think a vault is kind of getting around this, right? Because they only use it. My understanding, they're not purchasing anything inside the wallet, right? You can go use that to log into, let's say, token swap, right? Then whatever fee you have is paid to them. So that's
Who's this
one
again?
way, right? Vault or wallet? Vault.
Can you put in the Slack?
Yeah, you don't use this? Okay.
No.
If you are not playing with token swap, then.
Oh yeah, I haven't used token swap.
3000% API. I don't know how this stuff even works. I just put a few dollars in, like I think.
Magic, man. You put the $1, $10, you got $100 later. It's like a magic box. And everybody's happy.
I try not to use. I just don't do any of the. I don't know. I was kind of raised by my dad never to do day trading or anything like that. I'm not against it, but it's kind of like
trade.
You
don't trade.
I don't trade. I buy and hold. So
I'm saying it's just in Vault, you don't even have to trade. You don't even have to.
Oh really?
Oh, it's like they call it farm, like farm.
I found it.
Farm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm checking it out. Yeah, it looks like it has an app.
Yeah, so-called the #1 DeFi app wallet in BSV.
Interesting. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll check it out. But yeah, I mean, I want things to be. I want to try and, you know, I'd like to see the industry move away from all the like financial things and into actual use cases. Okay, so here's a good talk. Was it the first day? I just remember Craig saying this in the last week, and now I can't even remember where he said it. So I think it might have been the first keynote, but he was talking about how the finance industry accounts for like 50% of some GDP or something like that.
Yes.
And it just sucks the life out of everything because
all
all
this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're essentially living off inefficiencies, right? And that's also like why there are a lot of problems facing like global adoption with this stuff, because you know, a lot of money actually we know where it gets from, you know, MasterCard and stuff like that has a lot of stake in.
Yeah, so I want to see people actually using it for goods and services on the internet. And so instead of just, you know, whatever. So if we could have in-app purchases where you're actually buying goods and services, whether it's you know, some sort of level up in a game, or whether it's a news article, or whether it is just whatever people buy on the internet, all the goods and services, or whether they're paying for a Google search, or whether they're whatever. I think that's really where the killer apps are going to be, and it's something that's actually like a step forward, and you don't have to worry so much about all the regulatory compliance. Because if it's just some sort of weird DeFi, as they call it, thing where it's like, I don't even understand how that stuff works. And so I don't even trust it. Like I remember on Coinbase, they started paying me some sort of yield. I'm like, don't give this to me. Like, you're going to get me in trouble. Like, I actually turned it off, which is probably the only person. I don't, if I don't understand where it's coming from, you're just going to get me in trouble. I don't know how to report this on my taxes.
Yeah, it's very easy.
I just turned off the feature. Yeah,
think about this like a black box. You put $1 in, and then sometime later you take $10 out. It's magic, man.
Yeah, I mean, if it was something legitimate where like I was actually like, there was like a bunch of different loan applications, like somebody like I used to use this thing called Kiva. It was like a way of donating to people in developing nations, and they would actually put, and I'm sure some of it was totally fake, but some of it was real, and it would be like this lady or this whatever in some developing country, and they needed to raise money in order to buy, you know, a little stovetop so they can open a restaurant or something like that. So if I was lending money in that sense, where like there's actually loans real businesses, and there's like a bunch of applications coming in, and then I do a loan to somebody, that would make more sense. But right now with the thing, it's like, yeah, we're lending it out to other people, but like, who are these other people? I have no control over it. I don't understand it, but I just get money back. It just feels like a scam in some way. And maybe it's not, I don't know, but
you're learning somebody else so they can short some other coins. For example, BSV. That's my understanding. So it's like a zero sum, right? So as you mentioned, I think the only way you can break out to be really to be a legit business, for me, understanding is it's like any other banks, right? You can loan to real business. For example, you just met somebody wants to open like a corner store or 7-Eleven or a restaurant, right? They need some capital to get this started. I think if you loan that out and they make profit, they pay you back, that's legit. But if you just, you know, you learn some coins for some other people to use as a collateral to short loan some other coins, it's zero sum, right? It's a closed system. That's where I feel it's fishy. But I don't know. Maybe people are already doing that, or maybe not. So if that's my understanding, because otherwise you are one man's win is always somebody else's loss, right? So it's never, you don't have a win-win situation.
Yep.
I think
well, sometimes go ahead.
That's what I think. It's not. I found the link later, but I think it's Bittrex talk. Hey, Bill.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey. We have somebody present from CoinGeek. You are in CoinGeek, right?
All right.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Why
not? You still in New York, or are you back?
I'm actually in New York.
Yeah, you are based in New York, right?
Oh yeah, I recognize you from the other one.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, we are just doing some recap. So why not you just do you're on the ground. So what was it like? And is it mostly empty chairs, or is it like a lot of people?
There were plenty of empty chairs. I guess the second day was most packed. There were plenty of people. Without COVID and vaccine requirements, I wonder if it would have been
definitely
you know, more
Definitely
people.
would have been bigger.
Yeah, even me and Kevin will be there, and I know at least 10 other people will show up if it's not for this passport thing.
And what's his name? Kurt Walker Jr. had mentioned somewhere that maybe if like that they had thought about moving it from New York, but it was too late.
Yes,
so,
that's what I heard. Because they booked it about 1 year ago, and then when they tried to move it somewhere else to Florida or Texas, everybody else already moved, so they got it's already booked, and then they probably have some contract with the venue already. It will be a huge hassle. So yeah, I wish I think it's understandable. And some people are complaining on Twitter. I was like, dude, I mean, all this. Did you see this CoinGeek conference staff? They're like best probably, right? Look at the quality. I don't know. Last time I watched some BTC conference, it was not as good quality as this, especially the after party, right? That's like a world famous top notch. Is it?
I didn't get to go. I wasn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No, but it was good to see a few people. You know, before there was a meetup, and during you know, lunch and during in between things, there were a few guys, and I got to talk to Ty Everett. And
Legend.
He did such a good job. Like I was excited, almost as excited about his speech as I was about George Gilder's. I thought George Gilder.
Yeah. You know, you feel, if I'm being honest, I think he did a better job than
could be.
This time, because I mean, George Gilder's talk, I feel, I mean, it's great, but it's a little bit of a. Reminds me of his previous talks is talking about two big problems, right? So
okay, I had never seen him talk before. I know people always said
in CoinGeek.
I had never talked to CoinGeek, and I know he's you know, people had mentioned him all the time, but I didn't really know him. But he's not a builder, right? Ty is a builder, so that's great.
Yes.
And then
he's more like he's a visionary.
Yes, and you had posted some lots of things, which is great. But I'm on board with you. You like peersend. I like peersend. Ty. I really like the Bitphone that he won. Joe, I forget his name.
That's like what is the famous book? George Gilder, right? So
yeah,
I think most people. Yeah, he's good at predicting things. He predicted like I think a TV, and then predict internet, and then he's now predicting so-called like Web3.
Life after Google. So,
yeah,
we'll see. The tether.
I bought that book on audiobook. I listened to it, but I haven't. I should go through it even more.
Yeah, keep going, Bill. You were saying?
Yeah, I liked Joe, the Bitphone guy, because I feel like he's creating a win-win between rich students in America and potentially poor language tutors all over the world, and he's distributing Bitcoin. Potentially, you know, he would be getting Bitcoin from rich people in the first world to zillions of potentially lots of people in the third world, and just spreading it around, you know. I also like that he used end sequence.
Yes, that's the first. That's one of the. I'm not very sure about the business use case, but it's just because for me, I'm a nerd, so always to, you know, if it makes sense, I don't know. Just at least it's cool, right? Because that's the first end sequence based application I've ever known, or maybe in the history of Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah. What else? Then there were two guys. Tone's Notes was there, and Mort. So it was good to see them. I had met Mort at Unwriters thing a year and a half ago.
Who is this guy?
Mort. His name is Monty. You'll see he's on Unwriters Slack, MOHRT, I think.
Wasn't he on the first sCrypt meetup? Isn't that he? Maybe I confused him with someone else.
Might be confusing him. He used to be a miner years ago, and he was at Unwriter. Unwriter had a meetup about 1.5 years ago.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. So I just met him there. And then Tone's Notes, is he a member of this Slack, or the only other Slack I'm on is Atlantistic Unwriter Slack. So maybe he's from there. This other guy, Tone's Notes.
Tone's Notes. Okay.
All right. So it's not this one. I forget which one it is. Okay. So it's Unwriter has a Slack, and he's on that Slack. Another good guy.
Cool.
And what else? Yeah. So it was good speeches. Not super crowded, as I said, but it was good. It forced, seeing all these things and talking with people like Ty and all. It helped evolve and mature my thinking on this thing that I'm working on, because I need a transaction provider, and right now I'm using what's on chain, and I have a client that's requesting transactions, not a server. I'm trying to, at least right now, avoid having a server. It's just a client, or these clients requesting transactions, and things like I spoke with the guy from Coda.
Coda, yes.
Yeah,
Shashank?
Yes,
Shashank.
Right.
Yes.
And he, if you want to request, if you want to play with his API, use any of these APIs, you need to be registered. So you can't have, millions of people, potentially thousands of people registering with him just because they're running a client. It sounds like the relationships he wants, the people he wants to be using these APIs are servers. And at least right now, I don't want to have a server just yet. But so talking with him, and then talking with Ty, and Ty's got these bridge ports as part of Project Babbage. And then also seeing the Bitphone. They're using, I guess, effectively, it's like you can call it a payment channel where you advance in sequence. So so it made me realize that for now, maybe I would just use what's on chain, these clients, but eventually I could build a server where they would effectively pay for requests, maybe pay for, as they're requesting transactions, they can pay their way by every 10 minutes, if they're requesting a lot of transactions, we could advance the end sequence, and they could effectively send a little more bit by bit. Anyway, so it was good to rub shoulders with people and discuss things.
Yeah, it's always really, I wish I was there. Looks a lot of not only a lot of very high quality talks, but also a lot of fun. Seems from outside.
One of my favorite TV shows when I was growing up was Entourage, and so it's cool to see Adrian. I guess I always pronounced his name wrong, but Adrian Grenier. I don't know how to pronounce, but I definitely recognize his face, and so yeah, I wish I could have. That would have been fun, but to meet him. But we're on the same speakers list, and so I felt special that way, even if I didn't meet him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's. I think Kurt. I think the second day or the last day. I think the second day, right after they have this new CoinGeek TV after the whole conference is over. I think he was talking with this guy Adrian. Yeah, he makes a lot of sense. Actually, I thought it was like you just get some people famous here to bring up some hype, and the guy probably doesn't know much about, but at least he's he knows he seems to know what he's saying. Yeah, it's not like
I felt like his answers made a lot of sense, but I was expecting them just to be like nonsense. But I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty good answer. So yeah, I completely agree with that. But it looks like he has some sort of venture capital thing, and so
yeah, almost
yeah,
like
cool.
what's the guy, the Austin Kutcher, the guy. Looks
Ashton Kutcher, except Ashton Kutcher was with Vitalik just the other day.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that.
You guys watched that video where he
but Ashton
jumped
Kutcher,
up like in the screen, like it was really like I almost fell off my chair when I first saw that.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was.
But Ashton Kutcher was also supporting WeWork right before it fell apart too. So. You know, I'm not against Ashton Kutcher, but I'm just saying his track record.
Yeah,
so
the
far.
celebrity endorsement is not a good indicator, especially in VC.
Exactly.
Right? You talk about Theranos, right? Everybody famous in Theranos, and also Magic Leap. Have you heard about this company?
No.
Magic Leap. Oh, it's like the hottest VR stealth mode, the startup based in Southern Florida. Everybody was into it, and then seems like, do you guys remember that they made a very big splash? Basically, they show this like a marketing video. So if you basically for using VR, you have to put on some kind of goggle, right? But for them, you don't have to put anything. It's almost like you put something on your retina. It's almost like then you can watch like the AR and the VR merge with reality. It's almost like an XR, they call it. And then you basically you put that thing on, no device outside, and then it's almost like you're watching like real movies. So they demo this by showing you go to like a football court, and then they show you like a big killer whale jumping in front of you, which made a lot of splash. I think then everybody is trying to invest in, even like Google Ventures. Like
do they actually have like a prototype, or was that only like
it turns out it's a CG.
I mean, obviously, but I think like if they have like actually something like working, like maybe in a lower resolution.
You have to pick you have to put on a goggle. It's not much different from other VRs, turns out. So
yeah, it's a good idea if you could do the actual thing, but this is the thing. It's like with Theranos too. It's like if you could actually do it from a blood drop, that'd be great. But do we actually have the technology to be able to do that?
That happen, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but are we actually there? No. I mean, are we there in terms of technology advancement? No. So yeah, we've seen the little. We've seen the contact lenses with the computers in them in the movies and TV shows, and it's a great idea. And I'm sure that one day we will have it, but can you actually do it in the next 5 to 10 years? Probably not. So we're not even with the AR glasses yet. So to think that we could do all that in a contact lens, that's probably a scam.
Yeah, even like AR glasses are probably like 10 years away. I think in this decade, I think there will be stuff happening in that sphere, in my opinion, because I think Apple is working on some prototype behind the scenes.
That's what I've heard.
And Apple, Apple is like a big step maker in the industry. So yeah, maybe there will be something from that. It will be pretty cool.
I think so.
But these things are actually like going, like sales are going through the roof, like smartwatches. I mean, a few years ago, nobody I knew was wearing a smartwatch, but now like everyone has one, right? They've become cheap. Like you get one for $100. I think I just bought this the other day. It was I think 70 euros or something like that, and it's nice. Pretty good. It's like one, when you have your phone in your pocket and you take it out all the time, you don't have to. So you just check.
Yeah, I think it's nice for notifications. Just like just you get the little tap on the wrist, and you can feel like you can be away from your phone a little bit more, which is useful in some contexts. And then the tracking features for health I like. And then what else do I use my Apple Watch for? Notifications and health tracking is really the two primary. Sometimes if I'm in the car or something and I just want an easier way to press the next button on music, or like if I'm listening to music and then I want to skip the song, but I don't want to take my phone out of my pocket, it's nice just to have it. You could just tap it. But yeah, I don't know what those are the 3 killer apps for me, but other than that, there hasn't been much on the phone yet or on the watch yet, but I still wear it when I'm out. I don't wear it at home that much, but if I'm out, I almost always put on my watch. So yeah, I think wearables and glasses and all this stuff in the future will just be part of our everyday life. So it's exciting.
Yeah, you just talk about we just talk about the how to legitimize DeFi. I think if you are into that, I strongly recommend you haven't yet watched the Bittrex CEO. I'm a little bit surprised he's showing up, because usually, I mean, BSV is not very friendly. Let me put it. It's not the most friendly chain to exchanges. So I'm glad he's there. So he seems legit. I mean, if you watch his, he also shows some global use cases. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to use this term, but it's okay. The banking that unbanked. He's giving 2 examples. One in China, one in, I think is in Africa. One called M-Peso. It seems gaining a lot of traction. I think it's almost like peer-to-peer, kind of like a micro loan. So as you talk about, right, Kevin talked about, if somebody wants to launch like a hair salon or just a family restaurant, you know, then you don't even have a banking account. How do you get a loan? So they kind of pull together community-wise. I think that can be legit. Yes.
So I got that. It's called kiva.org, and
What's
it's
that?
that's what this is the lending thing I talked about, where entrepreneurs would go and you donate $100 or $50. But yeah, you could do even cheaper. So like here's some examples. So this is a lady in somewhere in Africa that's looking to raise money for to buy a loan of $5,000, helps to buy more apples and mangoes. Anyways, this person needs a decorative item for her shop or something. So it's stuff like that. That's where I got the idea. But so I guess in a sense that's banking but it's not banking. It's like it's micro loans.
The problem is you can't actually like verify if it's actually the
yeah,
money
exactly
went.
But it's but the thing is that it's so small for us in the West just to give $5, $25 that you just kind of view it as a donation, but then they actually do pay it back. So like almost, unless some of them don't pay them back, but I think when I used it, like 90% of the people, after 3 or 4 months, I'd get my money back. So it's kind of cool, but I don't think they charged interest.
That's good. Real farming.
Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of cool. But yeah, it was more of a donation thing. My grandpa got all of us to use it during like a Christmas thing because he's really into charitable donations, and so he wanted us to use it. But yeah, I always looked at it as a charity thing, not a lending service. But as far as banking the unbanked, I think what that means is just that, because the confusing part of that is that we're going to give loans to that kind of thing. And Craig has said multiple times that big banks are not going to be giving home loans to people in Ghana or something like that. Or I don't know if you said that exact word, so sorry, but they're not going to give loans to people, whatever, because it's just too small of a thing. But micro lending from one of us, like on Kiva, like they do for Kiva, that could work. But I think the biggest thing is they could just participate in the digital economy. You know what I mean? Because the only way you can participate in the digital economy now is with a credit card. But in order to have a credit card, you first have to have, all this other stuff that it's too expensive for just a normal person in Africa to have. But if they could just have a phone with some Bitcoin on it, Bitcoin SV, I should say, then boom, they can do micropayments and they can actually participate digitally with anybody in the world in commerce. And so I think that's what's meant by the banking the unbanked term in its best light. But yeah, there should be a different term for that, I guess. They could participate in digital commerce.
Yeah. I also liked,
the right term.
I'm changing the subject, but I also liked
Go for it.
Slictionary. This guy,
yeah.
John
Jack Peace.
Jack Pitt. Yeah.
No, we talked to him in Miami. We had dinner. Chow and I.
Nice.
He's cool.
I thought he gave a good speech. I could see them turning into maybe a Wikipedia where it doesn't have to just be a definition. It could be more things.
Yeah, it's like he is also saying the same thing, right? It's almost like an Amazon model. You know, it start with selling books, but then.
Yeah, and I also like that his little twist, claiming that if in the future I'm holding if I own a definition and I could sell it, or I could, it sounds like he's using STOS tokens, and so there are some Satoshis on each of these tokens, but it's not just a single Satoshi. I don't know. He made it sound like it was more than the dust limit. I don't know, but he made it sound like, you know, if let's say if you have a property that's worth a definition that's worth 50 cents, but you want to, or let's say it's worth $5, and maybe you have the option of melting it down for these Satoshis on there, but maybe you value the Satoshis more. I don't know. He made it sound like you could maybe get an implied value, you know, how I value the
price.
Satoshis.
Yeah. How do you price the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Is that, he's in Wall Street for like more than 20 years doing financial analysis and analysis. So he's good at this kind of like cash flow and also the valuation, and not based on speculation. How to hear some of his own formula to calculate the price, which is I feel it's based, if I use a word. So basically,
go ahead.
Yeah, basically, if you have, let's say, you own this word, right? Let's say HODL, and then you go to, he uses this example, right? You went to some place where you want to have a breakfast with your wife, and then you have the choice whether you give this up, you burn this to turn it to just real cash, or you still hold it, right? So at one point, if you reach this point where you are willing to give up that definition for a certain dollar amount, that's the price, right?
Right. So that could be measured externally. You know, you can see people melting down or redeeming these definitions for the underlying Satoshis, and you know, at a given point in time, and so you can see, well, how much was that definition earning him?
Cash flows.
Yeah. So it's interesting. The more we have people from all these different walks of life, you know, not just developers, the more we have all these people coming up with ideas, that's wonderful. You know, it'll just it'll at some point, hopefully we won't be able to follow the development, right? It'll just be 1,000 industries finding their way of using Bitcoin for ways we have no idea. Like I told him, who in their right mind would come up with this idea? You know, it's so good that, you know, I thought most people wouldn't come up with it, but it's great.
That's cool. I was just going through it, but then and this is what I was saying, what we need is that we need less friction, because I wasn't logged in a Money Button. And then I'm like, and then I went to log in a Money Button, but then I was in the wrong browser where I had my password stored. And then I didn't have my passwords. And it's like, so I still haven't been able to search for a word. So what we need is just seamless.
Yes.
It needs to be way more seamless. Because if I can't do it, and I'm like a BSV person, like think about what my mom was gonna do or something. She's just, there's no way. I'm gonna figure this out and play around with Slictionary. This is a cool idea, and I'm gonna watch this thing again. I watched, I saw him speak, but I haven't had the time to watch all of the presentations yet.
The other thing that really was driven home to me was there was a panel with this guy, what's his name? Not Johnny Deutsch, someone Deutsch.
Oh yeah, Donnie Deutsch.
Donnie Deutsch, yeah, the
Donnie.
marketing guy, and someone before him. They basically were saying, well, he said it's the consumer stupid. You know, they were both saying basically you have to find, you know, what are you making easier for someone? You know, it's very easy to build something, right? We could all build something that's interesting and uses end sequence. Yay, it uses end sequence. But if you know, the user doesn't care about end
doesn't
sequence,
care.
right?
They shouldn't.
I find it so interesting. Oh, that's so elegant or beautiful. But if it's not making something easier for someone or letting them do something they couldn't do with a credit card, then we're wasting our time. You know, it's an exercise.
Yes, I think that's what I feel. It is almost the two challenges. One is the technical, and the other is the business. Right? You can always, I mean, I think for at the very beginning, of course, there's nobody care about the business side of things, right? If you are using something like a latest technology, it's almost always this kind of like a, you know, weirdo geeks that just tinkering with it, which is good, right? Because at the beginning, I don't think when the iOS or Android first came out and people say, oh, let's build like an Instagram or Angry Bird, right? I think I haven't paid much to follow their history, but probably that's like 1,000 or even 10,000 apps before that, before they really break out into the masses. Because people will always say, oh, I can always just use my desktop, right? I mean, it has a bigger screen and higher resolution and it has Wi-Fi. Why do I even use this cellular, you know, smallish? Even at the beginning, I don't still remember. I think it's you know, when you are trying to type anything, it's almost like it's a nightmare, right? I don't know if you remember. It's always it's not a good user experience. And then as people tinkering on, I think about people, oh, we can do X, we can do Y, we can do Z. Oh, why not we combine all this? I think that's also, I think that's why I think the Bitfeng, I'm not saying it will be like a killer app tomorrow, but it's always just showcase, oh, this can do end sequence. Oh, that you can charge based on usage, whatever. I think as people more show and more use cases, and then hopefully somebody with more business, you know, sense, they can all combine it. It's like we're now all doing all this kind of experiments, and then just lead to this some guy to came up with the master. Yeah. It's almost like Bitcoin, right? You have all these different ideas, time chain, proof of work, and you know, hash, and then you need to somebody genius to put all this together to come up with the whole system.
Yeah, I wonder, like I think about these NFTs. They don't seem interesting to me at all, but I'm willing to believe that someone can create the next crypto kitties, like you know, they in the
Duro dogs.
Yeah, Doro dogs, right? In the exhibitor space, they had Omniscape from this company, I forgot, but they would do a 3D scan of you. You would stand,
very cool,
move, and they would do a 3D scan of you, and then they hold on to your data, and they, you know, nobody gets to see it if you don't want, but it could be in their world. But at the same time, there's, you know, all these different artists creating things. I could imagine, you know, I was joking around, like in America, we have baseball teams, and the kids used to collect baseball cards, and if you had a card that had a player, a baseball player in his rookie year, his first year, you know, 10 years later, that might be worth a lot of money. So I was joking around that, you know, if you have Craig Wright scanned himself. So if they turn that into an NFT and there was only one of that first Craig Wright, you know, that would be like his rookie card. And if you had that NFT, I don't know, I could just imagine some smart business person is going to understand human beings, understand the way kids are or the way people are, and like they like to hold on to things, and maybe there'll be some crypto kitties or something that everyone will want. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think with the NFTs, they're playing around with collectible things and trading cards or whatever, but also you can think of NFTs as just like any sort of title for anything. So whether that's a car or a house or whatever, So I feel like, I mean, whether we use the word NFT in the future or not, but something that represents ownership, that's going to stick around for sure. But yeah, right now it's synonymous with just trading cards and stuff. I remember Beanie Babies was a really big thing back in the day. I used to have like 100 Beanie Babies, and then I wouldn't sell them because I was a little, like, I don't know how young I was. I was like a little kid, and I would start crying every time they wanted to sell them. But yeah, collectibles are an interesting thing.
Yeah, I think
that'll be a big deal.
I think it's an NFT. Maybe I'm missing something. I think for nowadays, all these NFTs, it's also like a proof of concept thing, because I can always take a snapshot and then download it, right? Like a Beeple or whatever. But once you can somehow can be legally binding. So imagine, right? I have this piece of work. I can license it. It's like almost like a digital twin, right? I can license it. I can do DRM. You may have some. It's almost like a DeFi, right? If I at the end when I all have all this big pool of money, I can learn it out to real business. And then they make profit, and they pay it back, right? That's how we connect with the real business. Same thing for NFTs. Right now, it's almost like I get this picture of rock. Selling for like, I don't know, millions. I feel that's is a first step. So it's not connecting to the real world yet. Maybe I'm somebody I cannot easily license out because, for now you got all this like a label companies, all this music industry take almost like gatekeeper. But if somehow the artists or whatever, they can find this using NFT technology to somehow get around it, or even they don't have millions bucks, they can also distribute or selling the rights. They can earn like a small amount and then jumpstart. That can be, you basically connect with the real economy to grow the whole pie. That's how just my random thought. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe another instance of one way to think about it is, I know when you go to a concert, a music concert, you might buy a T-shirt, right, of the event. The Rolling Stones, on tour in these cities. But maybe some people, some kids in the future will want to say, "Oh, look, I was at the whoever, but the Rolling Stones on this date. Oh yeah, I was also at this concert," and and then swipe through all their NFTs, and there were only 1,000 of them printed, and I don't know.
That could also apply to what we were talking about earlier with the credentialing for answer websites like Quora or whatever. If you could have some credential that you are one of the top qualified persons in some field or something like that, stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're here to stay, but I think that it's just become synonymous with like these little artworks and stuff on the web. And now everybody's talking about it. Just everyday people, tell me about these NFTs. I've heard about NFTs.
I always tell them, it's just the ownership certificate. Yeah, that's how I view it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a title of a title. So, but I think it is useful. Yeah, but I think in the future, like you're saying, Choe, it should be more like integrated, just like you guys were talking about in Bitcoin class, where if you have this thing, it's the access token to a higher resolution, whatever, whether it's financial data or an image or whatever. So that's where it should go.
Yeah,
in the future.
How was what else in the conference? Did you see did you like have your white paper signed or anything, or?
No, I stayed away. I stayed away from, well, actually, when I showed up to the the day before meetup, I was about 15 minutes early, and I thought, it was up on the 44th floor, and I said, should I go or should I just wait? I don't want to get turned away, but I went up anyway. And as soon as I walk in, there's 3 people on one side, there's someone on the phone. I go to the other side, and there's 3 people sitting at the table, sitting at a table, about to have wine. Stephen Matthews, Calvin Ayre, and Dr. Craig Wright. And I was
big
like,
three, yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't.
Big three, man.
Yeah, so I said hi to them. I chatted with them just for a few minutes. I shook their hands, but
nice.
I didn't want to. I felt like I was a little intruding. They didn't stick around forever, but they did stick around for when everyone came in the next hour or two. But I was very surprised they were just sitting there. I'm sure
that was like a surreal. That's what I like to go into the conference. It's like you go to like I don't know, World War II, and then you walk into a bar and you see there's Winston Churchill and
Right.
the U.S. president and also Joseph Stalin sitting in a bar having some drink and just shake hands and hey guys, when are we going to attack or whatever. It feels surreal. Yes.
Yeah. And then I didn't want to just be someone glomming onto them. I didn't have anything useful enough to say, but I also it was good to just meet people. I met the guy. He gave a fairly boring speech, a very boring speech probably to most people. He gave the one he wants to create Bitcoin futures. So I don't know if you saw So it was just page.
Did you? Yeah, a disclaimer, right? The guy, right?
Yes, a page after page of these boilerplate disclaimers, all these U.S. code, all these laws that he would just put up on the thing. But I spoke with him before, at this meetup beforehand, and it was interesting. I liked him because he was talking about gold and silver and the banks and the dollars, in person without showing all these disclaimers and all. And he believes in hard money and all that. So so he's maybe he'll contribute to price discovery and all that stuff, and making it instead of making it the glue for the world, where I think what he was saying is that today, if there's George Gilder also says that it's awful that there's all this the biggest thing in the world is all this what do they call it?
Foreign exchange trading.
Right. But that foreign exchange, I guess, I don't know if the US dollar is the glue right now, but even if it is right now, something better would be something that's not tied to a nation. So this could be a good, I'm calling it the glue. I don't know what he would call it, but the backbone for all the trade. I think his name was like Jeffrey Hammond or something like that.
I remember his talk, but he's spending 5 minutes reading all these disclaimers.
20 minutes probably. Yeah, it was a long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so that's why I skip it. Yeah, I skip it the disclaimers, but his talk was pretty good. Yeah, I have to rewatch it to understand it. But
yeah, it's hard to understand.
Okay, so glad I'm not the only one who's not following. I thought he's talking about too much into like a financial jargon, which I'm not expert in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also from Wall Street, right? It looks like background.
Yeah, I forget exactly where he's from, but yeah, he's right. He's definitely plugged into Wall Street and all, and he knows what he's talking about. Just I hope he succeeds. I think it would bring adoption and all, or at least institutional adoption, or use.
Yeah, the only thing I think I'm a little bit surprised is I was expecting to see some like a new turnout demo, bring us to like, I don't know, 200,000 TPS or something, but seems not happening this time. Maybe next time. Yeah.
Dubai. It'll happen in Dubai.
He actually talked about bringing Terranaut live in the beginning of the next year. So that's where their focus seems to be on, right?
Yeah.
And they can optimize further. Yeah, sorry for interrupting.
No, I'm interrupting. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I already told my sentence.
Sorry. Yeah, it sounded like anytime you do a live demo, you don't want it to fail, because there were, people here and there who their audio would drop out or the video or something.
Demo God.
Yeah, right.
He's always angry. The demo God.
So probably to prepare for a demo, probably takes all sorts of man hours, 2 weeks and all. And, just maybe there was only incremental improvement, maybe instead of 50, there was going to be 200,000 per second, but at what cost? Maybe he can spend that time instead of making the demo look good, maybe he can spend that time and actually making Terranode work better. I don't know.
Yeah, Nchain seems to have released some open source tool, which I think I bookmarked. I haven't checked. I think also he shared us showing all these big slides with very complex like architecture graphs, which I cannot follow. So I have to rewatch that. It seems to release a lot of like a MAPI and P2P and I don't know, SPV tools. I think I am going to share in Slack. I haven't checked, but that's like a huge document. I have to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I'm glad it's still on track. Yeah. As long as it's on track, no demo, that's good.
Yeah. I didn't see. Like I went to whatever website CoinGeek pointed to, like I forgot what it's called, like bitcoinsb.io, and I didn't really see anything new there, but it's probably just not there yet, or I'm looking at the wrong place. I need to look at some GitHub repo that I haven't found.
Yeah, I will share. I think at least that's one link I know from Twitter. They send out something. I share in the Slack.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's always it's almost like the opening thing. I'm always like getting used to it, to see some like bigger blocks and more transactions. So we'll see next Dubai. Hopefully we can all go there.
Yeah.
Yep. So far they're still open for, I think you have to do a quarantine period, but I think all this stuff will relax over the next you could go to Dubai right now.
I heard on MetaID Joe Dalat is saying you don't need quarantine nor passport to go. I don't know when you come back. I'm not sure about that. Do you think you can go out and come back?
On the site that I read, you have to quarantine, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But Dubai is like a central hub for all sorts of different countries. They're like right in the middle of Asia and Africa and Europe. And so I feel like and most of Africa is not vaccinated at all. And they have all sorts of workers from everywhere. So I don't know what their restrictions will be, but I think it'll be open because it's open now, so it's fine. You just have to jump through some hoops. But and they also have the Dubai Expo, which just was supposed to be in 2020, but now it's going on in 2021. So it'll be going during the same time of CoinGeek. So it'll be super cool. And Dubai is awesome. It's like they have the tallest building in the world. And
I
hope
they'll put the conference there too. Top of the world, I mean, that sounds like a CoinGeek style. Yeah. At least have a
that would be cool.
after party there. That'll be splendid. Yeah.
I actually have a bit at the top. I just viewed it at the base. But they have all these fountains and stuff at the bottom, which is amazing. So it's very inspiring. And the whole thing, the whole city was built in the past like 50 years. So it's still very new. And like I think obviously country or cities like London or Milan or Paris, all these places that people like to go, it has way more culture and there's more history, and so it's better for tourism in that regard. But if you're just interested in like I don't know, cool,
future,
like the future, I think Dubai is a good place to visit. So I really, during the crypto bubble, I had made a bunch of money in 2017, 18, and that was the first place I went, was Dubai. And I don't regret it. I love it. So but now it's not, that's a sin word. You can't use the word crypto, but a lot of people are using it. I don't use that word anymore, but I was wondering if on my YouTube I should go back and like cross out those words. Maybe. Anyways, guys, it's coming up to the end here.
Okay.
I don't know how long you want to stay,
good.
but it's almost 2 hours. So
yeah, that's good. Good time to wrap it up. I think it's yeah, basically I've I think for 3 days I've been watching. I think some of them online live, but now I have to, go back and chop into different pieces and see what's new there. I think we talk about a few things. Definitely going to check out peersend to try it. They seem to work on Amazon. If that's true, that's great. I think also SendB, they're saying you can use it in the US, probably in Europe too, for a lot of retail shops like Target or Walmart. I think definitely I'm going to try out that too. And also the N-chain released the tools, all these things, I'm going to check it out. What else? Yeah, I'm also, of course, lastly to emphasize what we have released. So we have released an interactive learning course. So if you haven't tried it yet, please sign up at learn.sCrypt.io, or you can go to sCrypt.io and just click learn. That'll be our #1 tutorial from now. I think we'll keep adding more tutorials and also keep polishing it. I think in the end, the goal is to, yes, thank you. In the end, it will be like, if there's anybody you want to onboard on Bitcoin sCrypt, you just send me the link. Let's hope it's a one-stop destination. We just keep it going. And also second, we introduced this state property. Basically now you can write a stateful contract as easy as you write Solidity. So because that's almost if not the #1 issue people face, but definitely top 3. People have been talking about that for a long time. So even
was that
for
the one
me,
that Ty requested last time?
Yes.
2 times ago. Okay, yeah.
Yes, I think a lot of people,
Great.
at least 10 people, have requested since we have the stateful. So finally, I think for me, I even made peace with myself. For now, I can recommend it to my even say former colleagues or whatever. Say, hey, try this thing, because otherwise it's a little bit awkward. The code is awkward. You can do it, but you have a lot of hoops to jump through. Now it's much simpler. And lastly, of course, thanks to Michael, we have the Gola Sdk Release. And actually, yesterday there were people using it, but they found a few bugs. But Michael already fixed, which is good.
Yeah,
it's not officially released yet. But it seems like Golang is very popular these days. I think we know a lot of people using Golang. So if you have your own favorite language that doesn't have SDK yet, please let us know. And also try. So far we have JavaScript, Python, and Go. I kind of have Java because Stefan is working with it. Stefan February, so is part of his Bitcoin 4J. I forget the name, but I also share in the Slack. So stay tuned and let us know.
How hard is it to do those? Because I'd love to do it on Swift, because I could use JavaScript and then access it from Swift. Sorry to continue this at the very end, but yeah, Swift, that's my request. Swift for iOS development.
Swift. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't checked that out. Okay, Swift. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I could use JavaScript in the meantime, though.
Okay, JavaScript, Script. Okay, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
Bill, you have your favorite language or?
You're doing good. I'm using it in JavaScript. That's
okay. JavaScript is key.
Yeah, maybe one day Java, but no, maybe I'm good with the JavaScript. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. It was great, and I really wish we could all go to Dubai. So stay tuned.
We will. Dubai is awesome.
Okay. Yes. We go to the tallest building. Talk about Bitcoin, and that'd be cool. Yeah. We'll have sCrypt only invite like NFT limited seat sitting on the top of the tallest building in the world. Okay.
Well, I'm looking forward
to it.
We'll
make that happen. Okay, man. Sounds good.
Great.
See you next week. Enjoy the rest of the week.
All right. See you guys.
Okay. See you next time. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.